Paneurhythmy is also a method for developing and expanding human consciousness. Human consciousness can be considered in 4 major levels: cosmic consciousness, subconsciousness, consciousness, and self-consciousness. The human soul abides in the vertical axis of cosmic consciousness, subconsciousness, in which lie the most beautiful opportunities for human development. When human beings have lived within these most wonderful conditions, the vertical axis, they have actually lived in speaking the language of the Bible, paradise. When human beings have lived within these most wonderful conditions, the vertical axis, they have actually lived in speaking the language of the Bible, in paradise. However, we know the story of Adam and Eve. We know who seduced Eve and how Eve seduced Adam. Then people decided they are allowed to and are able to do anything. That is the deviation of human beings from the vertical axis. This act, eating from the forbidden fruit, was the reason for them to be thrown out of heaven. In esoteric language, this means human beings separate from their spiral path of their life, drift away from the common path, which should follow the vertical axis. And set into action the law of karma. The law of karma appears as a consequence of human disobedience. Thrown out of heaven, human beings are forced to follow the horizontal axis in order to develop their consciousness towards self-consciousness. This is human life filled with a lot of suffering. People learn from their suffering because they have lost their constant link with God. They have moved away, so to say, from the orbit of their natural development as souls. All of material life is concentrated in consciousness. Animals have consciousness, so do we, but only human beings have self-consciousness. The unconscious processes in animals and people are managed through the peripheral nervous system by a great mind that is transmitted by the solar plexus. This means that we perceive subconsciously the ordinance of the great cosmic mind through the solar plexus. This is true for animals too. People who have pets have sometimes witnessed unusual behavior on their side. They behave somewhat like people. These are flashes of human consciousness in animal consciousness. By the same analogy, there are moments when cosmic consciousness flashes in human consciousness. These are moments of revelation, when for seconds or a minute one receives incredible gifts. This is to show that their future is in the getting back to the vertical axis of cosmic consciousness, where lie all human possibilities and most favorable conditions for the human soul. Walking this ascending path, one day people will reach the collective consciousness, which is a higher form of self-consciousness, and then the cosmic consciousness, opening the doors to the divine world. Expelled from heaven, however, people are forced to live in the horizontal axis, that is, they are crucified. The constant struggle between cosmic consciousness, subconsciousness, and consciousness, self-consciousness. Man who is crucified. Man living in suffering. Through suffering, however, he learns, advances, and develops his self-consciousness. We mentioned self-consciousness in acquaintance. Here we consider it in a broader aspect. It is good for one to develop self-consciousness. It is bad to go into a too great individualization. Too great individualization automatically leads to drifting away from the ascending vertical path and subjecting oneself to the laws of karma. The law of cause and effect. The flashes of divine cosmic consciousness, which sometimes come on people as a stroke, are a reminder that they are able to and have to come back to their right path. They have to recover their constant connection with the divine consciousness. Sun rays presents the human drama, the drama of society, when the spirit for a moment loses its power and the powers of evil and darkness take over, making it experience an obscured consciousness, almost a tabula rasa. It cannot find a solution and starts moving in a vicious circle. In the sun rays, this happens on the 13th step, when the sunbeam is getting back from the center to the periphery. Sun rays is the second part of Paneurhythmy, related to the energies of the spiritual world. The earth is a living being, another form of life. It is like an enormous crystal, a dodecahedron, whose facets are pentagons. Cosmic energies and electromagnetic energies flow along the edges of these pentagons. We know from mineralogy that if we break the top of a crystal and put it in the same conditions in which it has grown, it will be able to recover the missing top. This is a proof that along the edges of the crystal, the edges, not the facets, these powerful cosmic energies flow. All human cultures and civilizations have been created along these edges of the pentagons since the beginning of time.